In this video we've got gas leaks, we've got rusty old tanks, things that have really had it, and some precision engineering. Of course, before we do any work on gas, make sure the tank's empty and be safe. And here's why we're having to do the work using some leak detection fluid. We can see the gas is bubbling out, and also using our tester. So first of all, we need to get this old tank out. It's gone commonly where they go, which is where the straps meet the tank. I think they're made of two different metals. So first of all, we're going to undo the old regulator, which needed changing anyway. This is the old-fashioned 50 millibar higher pressure one, which are a bit harder to get hold of. Newer vans have 37, but as you can see, that's pretty old. Can't even see what rating it is, but that is 100, and it's got the optional barbecue feed if you want to run a gas barbie, which we're not going to do. There's your old regulator, and then what we want to do after that is start detaching the, I think it's called the pigtail here. So there's a little extender here. And what we're going to do now is undo these straps. Now these straps are kind of bolted on. They are rusted, completely rounded off. As we don't need this tank anymore, we've just cut through the straps. They're quite thin metal. I didn't want to pierce the tank just in case, but there you go. We've cut through it and dropped it onto some scraps of wood so it doesn't fall on us. This tank, empty, is probably 25 kilos. You'll see me moving it. It's not light. So if you imagine that had 40 or 50 litres of gas in it, it's going to weigh the same as a person. So we've got to manoeuvre the old tank out of the way carefully. I would say this whole thing would be easier, two-man job, and also on a ramp, but there's only one of me and I don't have a ramp. But here you can see the top of the tank's got heavily corroded, and here's the straps that are just kind of peeling off. That white was me trying to mastic it up to temporarily slow the leak, but that was a silly idea really. Anyway, here's the guilty strap, and you can see it's well and truly corroded, and when we pull it back, this is likely where the leak was coming from. So that's useless, not going to be using that anymore. We've got a much better solution, you'll see in a minute. I think this tank's probably the original one that came from Germany, so it's probably 30 years old, so it's done well, but it's finally started to go through there where the two metals have reacted. I can't see exactly where. So it's gone through on the back strap, and the front strap is probably going a similar way. That tank, well done, rest in peace, but you've had it. And here you can see just how big the lumps of metal coming off it were. It was well and truly gone. Of course, pretty dangerous. This had a slow leak, so I actually let it empty itself over a number of weeks. Now here's the old brackets with the straps. So those straps need to come out. You can see that actually, although they've coped, they're quite thin. And you can see they kind of go through these slots on these two welded on brackets above. So first job is going to be to get rid of the old straps, and then we're going to have to adapt those plates to accept the new fixings. Again, we don't need the old straps, so let's not waste any time being gentle. Just cut through them, pull them off, and we're ready to roll. What we had to do was cut off the vertical down pieces on both these plates because that would be in the way of the new brackets. Chopped them off there again, angle grinder, and just sprayed them up to protect them from rust and respray the cross members. And here's our new kit. Autogas 2000 up in Yorkshire sent this down, so this is a smaller 40 litre tank, but it'll be more than enough for us. There's your filler, you've got your gauge, you've got a couple of accessories there, your new pigtail on the left, and then there's your new cover. I previously bought a 50 meg regulator with a flexible hose, so we can connect that all up. But it's a really nice bit of kit, and the best bit are these heavily uprated brackets. Rather than flimsy bits of metal, these are really well made, and the guys there were really helpful. I sent them lots of diagrams and pictures, and they kind of made some wider plates for me to allow them to fix to my current fixings, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But before we do that, the guys there heavily recommend that you basically stone chip or coat this tank. It's powder coated, but adding an extra layer of stone chip would no doubt help. So we're just going to mask up the cover to the controls because we don't want to cover that. It's a nice silver anyway. And this is the recommended stuff, Tetra Schutz by Tetra. I think it's a bit like, it's a bitumen based thing, a little bit like wax oil, I suppose. And then we're just going to coat this up nicely. What I would say is this stuff doesn't set hard as such. It's bitumen, so it's a little bit tarry. So you can chip it, which you'll see I do quite readily as I fit it. But you can spray it on after and touch it up. So here's the brackets that have gone on. I've used the existing plates, and we've had to drill holes to match that. That was quite fiddly, just needed to measure that up carefully, spray it all up to prevent any rust. There's the back one done, and that's really solid, and we've got these nice big, like a steel band that are going to hold the tanks on. And here's the other one getting ready to go on. Measured and drilled the holes, and again just coated that to prevent any rust. And you can see where I've just lined that up. These plates were a bit wonky, so I've just had to sort of straighten up how I'm going to mount them, and that's it, how it's going to go on there. Here we are, all done, and you can hopefully see where the tank's going to fit nicely now. So on to fitting the tank. Before we do that, there's some rubber stripping that you put inside the straps just to give it a bit of cushioning. And then here's a new tank, and you can see I've already scraped the Tetra seal off, moving it around, but don't worry, I'll touch that up. Again, awkward job. I've condensed this into a couple of minutes footage, but this probably took me an hour fiddling around left and right and doing everything. I wanted to get it as central as I could, and also you can see that little white sticker with the cross on, the directional cross. That's helping to indicate to you the 105-degree angle that you need to mount the tank at, so that the autofill cut off at 80% works. And you can see I've used a car jack just to support the weight, because you can't hold this yourself, and I'm just trying to rotate it, get it into place. As I say, this is heavily condensed. I wasted a lot of time fiddling around doing it, but there you go, we've got it in position. Supplied bolts go on there, tighten that up, tighten the other end up, and then we'll be able to take the jack away, and we've got our new tank in place. And of course we will recoat any messed up pieces there. On the home stretch now, so we're connecting up the gas fittings. First thing we had to do was cut off that old tail and put on a new 90-degree elbow, and we've also mounted a piece of wood here, coated it so the regulator can screw into that. You can see me just offering that up, a bit wonky, but I straightened that up. So there's the new hose connected in. I've looped that through the frame because it was a bit long to keep it neat and tidy, and then that connects to the new regulator, which is mounted on that block of wood, and that connects onto the new tail. Compression fittings. So this is all done now. I just need to remove the dust cover. Then it's fill up the tank and test everything for leaks. Hope you found that useful. Please like and subscribe if you did. Cheers.